Well, hello, friends, and welcome to a very, very special broadcast presented by CGL in collaboration with the Senju group as we bring you the South American Championship, the Liga dos Campeones, here in collaboration. Yeah, and we're gonna. This is a South American broadcast here, so I can't believe it. My name's Jeff, here with Sodenim, and man, I'm really looking forward to this. This feels like a very special moment here in Grassroots Overwatch. We're going to bring you these two amazing South American teams.
I mean, I don't know how long it's been for you, but I was recently thinking about, the lack of South America and stuff like even contenders.
Oh, yeah.
We lost South American contenders so long ago. So just the fact that our friends from the South are still carrying on and still, forcing their way ahead in this esport is just a beautiful thrill. And including the fact that in some ways they love goats too. Like that's, I think, an insane thing too. They love, they have their own, specifically desired. Maybe up here in the States we hate goats, but down there they want to play it. So that's awesome.
I mean, I love me some goats, and
I do too.
Before we get into talking about this tournament, though, it is a pretty amazing thing as we are getting to bring some South American Overwatch. Like you say, we haven't seen it since 2020 is the last time we saw South America. To the very beginning of 2020, it was really 2019 is really when it kind of died out. But we saw how much not only are they surviving here, but thriving in that scene. Yeah. There's a lot of passion there, and we saw that in the Overwatch World Cup last year. We saw just how much we saw the Brazilian team stepping up, and yeah, they didn't make it super far into the running, but we still got to see them show off what they have from, multiple countries coming out of South America and Central America region. And so, yeah, it is truly exciting to get this preview. And, it's a little bit of tease of what we might see in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we see a little bit more. I know specifically we were kind of talking about it, at least here at CGL. There's some pretty big news coming out, but to know that they are still, and like you said, this is primarily a Brazilian, admittingly, but there are a couple other countries represented for players. And I think that's, like you said, it's one of the important things to know. It's not just, locked to one particular country or anything like that. It's still in there, and they are still grinding and want to do it, especially when you look at these two grand finals teams. It's generally impressive, their records to getting to this finals tonight.
And it's interesting as we kind of zoom in and get to talking about this championship. This is going to be a grand finals here from an entire season. We're just bringing you the ultimate matchup, or the culmination of a long season's worth of hard work, and the two teams who were able to make it through this far. But this we are going to be seeing some goats tonight. Coincidentally enough, talking about the goats, they're playing goats, but that wasn't how the whole season went. What's the story behind that?
So it seems to be, at least through my understanding and my research, is that they played a little bit of everything. So they played your standard 5v5, they played a little bit of previous metas, and then they also included some goats. When it came time to say, all right, we're in the playoff sections, we're in the finals, what do you guys prefer and what would you want to play? It was just kind of ended up being goats. So that ended up being what they wanted to do. Maybe it's because both of these teams have such, roster depth, and maybe that's just where they felt the most confident. But either way, we are kind of just lucky to even see, again, we would see some incredible play regardless, but maybe we're going to, who knows what South America has been doing with, a dated, fixed format like GOATs in a lot of ways.
Well, let's go ahead and introduce you to one of our teams coming in. We're going to bring up that Storm lineup. And it's just also about fun. Maybe you're talking about, they like to play different metas and see what they can show off, but also just having a good time with it and playing different kinds of Overwatch. And man, this Storm roster, they had a hell of a run getting here as we take a look at the starting six. I mean,
there's so much about this roster that is like, there's a whole book to be said here, because not only did this team go incredibly deep, they were 3-0 in the league proper, and then 6-2 in the Champions League, getting into that. So they were on a winning, trajectory the whole way through. This isn't just a team, Jeff. This is a family. This is a whole 17. Yes, I said that. 17 member team here. 3 whole 5v5 squads worth of team here. That just all cycle through. They rotate. They play together, and I love that. That is like the whole family that we always love to see and talk about so much in Overwatch and team building. So their starters, I have to imagine, just have to be the tight knit core of this team, especially when you go undefeated in the upper bracket to get here, and then go on and have a 6-2 season.
Yeah, and the upper bracket run. I mean, this is the team to beat right out of the gate, and It's gonna be fun to watch a 17-player roster. So like that still is just it's hard to see.
It's mind-boggling.
It is. It is a little mind-boggling. And just a reminder here. I mean, all console players as well. This is a console league we're taking a look at. I wanted to make sure we specified that. I felt like I'd remiss if I didn't specify that. This is born and bred right here and right at home. Here on the CGL broadcast. Quick note: we're gonna go with Kua for the rest of the Kua Kuki. They're starting showing in the Zen rule. We're just gonna go with Kua there. Doing our best with some of these names. As obviously this is not Portuguese is not my native language, so I may struggle with some of these. You'll have to forgive me if we get them wrong. Let's go ahead and take a look at their opponents here tonight. As Tiakola are gonna be the ones coming out of the losers bracket to see if they can challenge the Storm Squad.
Yeah, Tiakola did have similarly a solid run. They did only drop one loss in the upper bracket there, and they had a pretty solid season. 7-3 is definitely one of those teams you need to keep an eye out for. Much smaller. They are only 10 or 11, I believe, or so after looking at all of this. But again, it is it's these big squads that obviously know how to play together. They understand how what pieces need to work together, and it'll be interesting as we get into this grand finals, because we might actually see this depth of rotation really matter. You might find that we need a different Brig player to match with our different and more passive Zen player. Maybe we find out that someone's just going to start playing in different directions. Someone's playing more passively, someone plays a little bit more aggressively, and the teams are going to maybe start to look at who do they bring in and adjust around that as these games go on.
I'm very curious. It's how much rotation do we see? How much exchange of strategy do we see? And even obviously within GOATs, there is different ways to approach it. And your pathing and your ult usage become so important that they can define different styles of play. I mean, we think back to the greatest GOATs match of all time. There was definitely two different styles between the Vancouver Titans and San Francisco Shock back in the 2019 Stage 2 Finals. That was the greatest GOATs match that's ever been seen. And it was between even though they've been locked in that meta for so long, there's still two very distinct identities in how they played.
And let's not remember that even within the smaller ecosystem here for CGL and Senju, you do get a little bit of flexibility. It is Rein or Winston. You do get to choose between Moira, Zen, and Ana. So there might be some preferences amongst that. Maybe you just have your one tricks that come in, and that's just where you better. We do know that by the end, teams were still favoring Zen overall. Ana still had quite a bit of moment in the sun, but maybe there is a chance, and we'll see that the flexibility of the Winston goats will make an appearance. We saw it in our previous CGL goats actually too, so I don't write off anything considering what is just on paper available.
Well, and as we start taking a look at the maps, I mean, you can start seeing why we would introduce a Winston and where the flying goats when floats can be very applicable, especially if we're starting off on escort. Here's a bit of a change here. We're in NA we're used to always starting on control, and so every time it's just Lijiang Tower out the gate most of the time, 75% it seems like. Here we get a little bit of a different vibe. Here we're going to kick things off on Watchpoint Gibraltar.
Yeah, that is, again, like you said, it's one of those odd ones because it's not necessarily the greatest GOATs map in the world with it being so vertically inclined. Eventually, we'll get to everybody's favorite King's Row and Lijiang Tower on 3. And it's worth noting that 2CP is still viable. They still run it at 4 GOATs in this league. So we might see that down the road if that comes up in the previous sections of the tournament. They had been playing on 2CP, so none of your fancy modern Overwatch 2 maps. Very, very interesting to see if that changes anything for these teams, because you and I haven't been playing 2CP too much. Maybe there's a little bit something in their strategies that will apply for that.
We get loaded in here in this opening map. Looks like so far both teams are showing us the Reinhardt route of the gate. Nobody's opting for the Winston just yet. There's actually precedent for this. We've seen this particularly in EU as of late, where it's a lot of Rein been used on Watchpoint Gibraltar. Now, that has been with the likes of some DPS that can get you around. Let's see how Tiakola wants to path with this Reinhardt to try to take this very high ground oriented point A.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really dependent on how Tiakola wants to really try to work their way up. They're going to play to as much cover as they can, and they both did choose the Zenyatta, valuing that Discord Orb as opposed to anti-nade, so we're going to be really seeing the pressure onto these Reins to start. So once those shields really start to feel the pressure and break, you'll know that the Brawl is going to kick it up to level 10.
And these codes are slightly adjusted, you know, the more to match what we remember back in the GOATS era. So those don't have that 7-second delay, and things have been changed. And Maya gets killed on the approach, not able to make it across the bridge. And that Discord Orb out of the fight now for Tiakola. Big mismatch. Storm with a huge advantage, and they're going to try to chase it out.
Yeah, this is a just unfortunate position for Tiakola. They were halfway up to committing, and that is your slowest member, Zenyatta, up there. So it's not like you can just kind of sit and wait and they'll get back in time. You kind of have to give your whole positioning for this.
Chase down, trying to find Orin. Can't quite get the speed out. Orin's able to escape. Boop down. That's a huge play as Lost falls down to the bottom, and we're going to get this fight breaking out. Oh, the bubble was just faded on the Losses. They're going to fall. And the attackers, on the back of a huge boop, are able to initiate this fight on Tiakola's terms, and they're going to win it out and get this cart rolling.
Yeah, unfortunately, Laos just couldn't, didn't really have the rest of the team. When the Rhine goes somewhere, the rest of the team needs to follow in GOATS. If the Rhine falls, it's kind of just dominoes there. So with that in mind, this is the opening map jitters. It's worth noting, though, that Sub-Zero and Garcia do both have their ultimates online. So the first rally for the Brig is going to be very, very dependent and change this next fight.
A huge play from Roku Chavasto, and it's gotten him near to the first ult online. Garcia actually gets the self-destruct first. Throws it out immediately as Vitze is backing up. Transcendence in the pocket. You got to save that as the Graviton Surge is thrown on this point. And that Transcendence, Johnny on the spot, up just in the nick of time. Actually doubled with the sound barrier.
Very
Not ideal, but still able to get a kill onto Roku on the way out. Trading Lucio's. This defense is just going to hold up on this corner. Garcia gets a pick onto Luke Travas, though. This might be the opening Tiakola are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, Rogue, it did hold onto the sound barrier, though, so they have a little bit more in the defensive bank versus Storm right now, so I don't know if Storm would really want to hit too hard into that. What a shatter.
Yeah, that was a big slave if I've seen one. Rogue's able to get the sound barrier down and keep most people alive through that. Mangekyou is the one to fall, and it looks like Health Bar starting to diminish here. Storm are on their last leg here on this point.
It was a good thought. You had to pick up. It made sense to try to maybe re-engage. The self-destruct is not unfortunately going to find anything, but that just shows the tracking that goes into the GOATS comps, right? You have to make sure you are engaging and going when you know that your opponent doesn't have those defensive ultimates. Otherwise, it's just going to be an even further extended fight where they'll get more ult charge into it. It's going to be cleanup here. And Gecko did hold on to sound barrier. I'm sorry. To Graviton Surge plus the Shatter from Laos is coming in. So there's a lot of offensive tools, and now that they know there's nothing defensive across from them, they should be able to maybe put their foot down and set this fight where they want it to be.
I mean, this was all on the back of those late kills on point A.
Yeah.
I mean, GOATS just doesn't quite play as fast as we're used to at Overwatch 2, so you think you can stall that out, use the self-destruct to buy some time for the retake. I mean, the kills just come through too fast, and the follow-up is there. Look at all the space gained.
Yeah, I say they just agree to take this high ground battle, and this is a dangerous spot to be in the space station because any Graviton Surge paired with a bomb is likely to find value simply because there's no escape in and out of this.
Defense fortunate enough to push Tiakola back down. They're going to pursue this. Lost is going to drop. There's the Graviton Surge coming out there from Mangekyou. It was huge. Got 4 in it, at least 3 in it, actually. Discord now thrown down on the burn. They're trying to see if they can get the Zarya out on the other side. Mangekyou will find that pick. And here comes the follow-up. Looking for exits on the way out.
Great realization from Storm. They just realized, look, the team is split. We don't see the Zenyatta. We don't see everybody else. Let's capitalize on that when we see where they are. So a great read from that. They'll have their sound barrier and they'll have Transcendence going into this. It's almost match across on Tiakola, and Tiakola did manage to hold on to a few of those offensive ults. So the longer fight favors them.
Stood in almost, and they get the shadow. The Graviton Surge makes it on the door. What a perfect grab. The Transcendence is equally as good, though. Unfortunately, Teal Smoke does not land that shatter, but this fight continues in this tiny corridor. That shatter's going to find Sub-Zero in the opening pick here for the defense. Pin in. Teal Smoke is smashed against the wall, and that is going to do it for this fight.
Yeah, I would say that was a hefty committed for Tiakola as well. So unfortunately, 4 ultimates went in, but the only thing they gained was a loss of space. This does bring us back to more of a neutral, though, and Kua should be able to start making some space with this rally paired into the bomb. Hopefully try to get that old Rhine stun into the self-destruct combo up. That's going to be their best case to win this out. They also need to make sure that they get past the sound barrier of Tiakola as well.
Kua throws the rally in very early into this fight. Teocola just kind of slow their beat for a moment. Now it's a drop down. Whether forced or not, I'm not sure. Sound Barrier still in the pocket. Everybody's going to go down to the bottom. Vince comes up with another opening pick. Garcia just trying to regroup. Sub-Zero taken out of that rally. And Teocola just running out of gas here. Look at they're just not able to get in, not able to find any opening.
It feels like that's because Storm has just kind of decided where they want to set these fights, right? The last couple times, they've made Teocola go to them where they want to fight in these small, contained rooms where they know they have the advantage. Even there, when Ukhtra started to go and, like, you know, started looking like it was a fall, it was really just a bait there, so a great read. It'll be one last shot to do this with the Sound Barrier and a Transcendence for Teocola. They do have the ability to last versus these ults, but they can't line them up.
He's going to throw in the second Transcendence. Now we're getting Localization coming through with their own Graviton Surge. The Sound Barrier is good. In fact, he just stacked their ults nicely. Mangekyo finds Maya out of the back, but Sub-Zero was able to take down one. So it's a 5v5, both missing a support. Discord still in play here for Teocola. But now they've lost Burn. The Sound Barrier invested from Storm. Going in, swinging. Lost is able to do so much damage to Vince. Follows up with more in the feed. Vince is vicious here on this Zenyatta and just taking heads in this overtime fight. The Shatter throwing in a celebration for this defensive Storm.
A little bit of a rough start for Storm, but genuinely once we got to second point segment and it seems like they kind of mentally reset in a lot of ways, you know, they really had it on. They really had it kind of on lock. Granted, this is a tough map to play goats on, right? Because where you set these fights, especially on the high ground, really does change a lot. And that's kind of what unfortunately happened on this first point. Is, you know, you get moved off the high ground just like this, and suddenly the rest of the team is there to swarm on it. Once Storm kind of decided they were going to move as a full unit and really keep it together, it just looked like an entirely different team set up. That looked like the #1 seed that we were expecting to see here. Teocola has a lot of work ahead, but there are definitely a lot of great pieces that showed. There was some phenomenal responses to these ultimates coming out from them. So I could see this going the distance here as we get deeper into the map.
Teocola definitely had the more pop-off stuff, particularly at the beginning. You know, kind of being able to set up kind of some big flashy plays. And I mean, Rogue, well, we got to that first Sound Barrier so fast, and that initial boop was so clutch. But once Storm kind of settled in, it felt like they had the rotation. They had just kind of that sitting in the pocket, if you would, kind of to steal a musician's term, but just kind of finding that rhythm and sitting in it.
It felt like the communication just kind of got tightened up, right? Like, Laos just unfortunately kind of, you know, took the first fall off of that high ground, and everybody just kind of, you know, felt like, oh, everything fell apart. It seemed like whoever was the IGL there just kind of said, guys, let's just pull it together. We can hold this out here. No changes coming in comp-wise, which makes sense. It'll be a split opening. And Teocola is holding a little bit more forward. They're going to hold this bridge a little bit more difficult to dislodge, but they don't necessarily get control of when to go. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that boop was nice. Oran's able to send Sub-Zero down to the bottom. Loss is coming in and trying to follow up on it, and Localization is the one who finds that pick exactly onto that brig, and it forces Teocola all the way back through the car wash, back through the doorway. I mean, that's Garcia's still in pilot mech, and they're lucky they didn't lose any more.
Yeah, that could have been very, very detrimental. They will get mech back now, and it's unfortunately still very neutral here, so giving up the space is going to be just controlling the space is so important for Teocola. They cannot afford to let Lost just run in on him like that.
Oh, Teocola just got absolutely overwhelmed. Discord. Look at all of the assists in that feed onto Teosmoke. Everybody from Storm getting involved in that one. Maya burn, Sub-Zero all with low health bars. Sub-Zero will not get that rally online. And we're seeing Storm take this position, plant the flag right in front of the block of victory. Box of victory. I'll say it eventually here, so it'll come out, I swear.
I know, Bullskunk. It'll get there.
We'll get there.
I mean, you're right. It'll get there eventually. But I mean, Storm is already there. Storm has already decided we are not losing this. I mean, this is just a different move. This is a much more aggressive play. Last fight here, 5 minutes, and they are already pushing and holding towards the box of victory, and they have all their ults online.
Yeah, they've beat us almost all the important ults. There is a rally in play, self-destruct thrown into the back. Interesting move to the outside, and the shatter. What was that? That was a shield bash that actually put them on their butt. It was a counter pin. Teosmoke now has that shatter ready to go. Ooh, gets pulled out of that. Did they cancel that pin? Wait a minute, was that pin canceled?
That was a pin cancel, I think, yeah.
I didn't think they could pin cancel in this.
Huh. I mean, hey, they're not using our code, so
okay, there it is. Okay. That's. I was like, wait a minute, that was a bid cancel.
Yeah, I don't believe this is the exact CGL code that if you've played in the GOATs before, I don't believe it is that. It's probably a slight variation, but hey, there's millions of people who are trying to make GOATs as fun and enjoyable as it can be. But for right now, Teocola is having the roughest time. They should be able to hold again here with this combination of two out of three defensive ults, especially with Kua just unfortunately just kind of not really getting value out of this rally.
No, I mean, everybody does still have a little bit of that over armor, but Storm's still taking their time to try to push in. They're going to lose it. They don't hurry. Okay, there's the drop down. Everybody in. The Shatter is gone. That's going to fly. 3 Transcendence and Grab thrown in here from this defense of Teocola to try to hold. Shatter invested as well, but that one got blocked. Now Teo Smoke just forced to try to anchor down this card. There goes Garcia into the back to try to see if they can alleviate this thing, but that leaves them open to a massive grab. All 6 hit with that. The sound barrier is starting to fade here from Teocola, but they're looking to strike back. Bird looking to hunt down the Luke Chavas in the backline. Actually gets the D-Mech. Oh, but Garcia's bar is so low as well. Nobody in mech. Back and forth go these two teams. It seems like neither have the edge. The rally in from Kua starting to fade on this back. Oh, the sound barrier from Oron does land. That could just be the beginning of the end, and that's going to do it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's the thing about GOATs, right? Once everybody expends all 12, it then comes to who has been doing enough damage and who has been building it enough, and the Lucio is going to be the one that's going to build it up fastest. So great, just phenomenal play from Storm, that aggression, and just you can see it. That's the desire to win this out that you just see in there. They just decided, look, we don't want to wait for you to come to us and try to contest the high ground. We will find you and we will bring the fight to you. And that is kind of, I think, the story of Gibraltar here, is they are not going to wait around and wait for the fight to happen. They want to push the tempo of the game and decide when and how these fights play out.
Storm definitely setting the pace, and really like it's not just it's the where as well. It's not just the pace that they're setting here, but it's the battlefield that they're forcing these fights to take place. Has been so smart. This was that first point, that first attack from Teocola was when they looked at their best, was when they were actually kind of forcing Storm into an uncomfortable situation, is what we're seeing on your screen right now. But it was basically from this point on that flipped entirely on its head.
Yeah, up until that point, Storm had just suffered a fight loss, and even around this corner, they thought they were going to have to, give this up. Teocola, when they lost, they went down 1. They had sound barrier. They decided to re-engage, and I don't believe Storm really were prepared for that. I think they were kind of saw the kill feed and went, okay, they're going to disengage. They have no reason to push back, and I think they were just straight caught off guard here. That's what it kind of feels like, is if Storm can't calculate what is going to happen, they kind of just, I don't want to say they crumble, but it feels like they really do struggle to stay with the play of pace right there. So, Storm definitely shows the advantage when they are in control. And like you said, the where is going to get very, very different here. Now on map 2 for King's Row, the high ground is not going to be nearly as important. So now it's going to be significantly more difficult to control where those fights will take place.
As we're moving through into that, we will have our second map, since it has been predetermined. And it's not a loser pick kind of scenario here. Yeah. Both teams know exactly where we're going to end up for hybrid on map number 2. And I think you have to, if you're going to play a GOATS match, you got to have Kings.
It has to be here
somewhere. It's fundamental.
Yeah. This is the one time I won't groan about seeing King's Row on a map. I am a notorious groaner for King's Row, but I don't think you can I think this is arguably the most important map that you play it on. There's not really high grounds necessarily to control. You can on point A, but you really can't there's really not much for streets and the C phase. So realistically, this comes down to, where do you set up these fights if you are on the offense and defense? Where are you trying to look this up? You don't want to just necessarily try to run it down and put it on the point. You might want to try to put it where you can give yourself the most cover, some place where you can give the rest of your team the ability to cycle those cooldowns, because in a meta like GOATS, all of those individual micro cooldowns are so important to deciding the outcome of the fights.
Yeah, it's amazing what a knife's edge each GOAT's engagement is, and something as small a difference as the Discord orb. I mean, it can 100% win or lose your fight. Having your Lucio in there, 100% lose your fight. And then, you get into your tank cooldowns. Do you have the bubbles? Do you have DM? I mean, those kind of things become extremely important. Not even talking about ultimates at that point.
Oh, yeah, no.
And speaking of the Zenyatas, I got to say, Ezra moving forward, Vince was somebody who really stood out to me through that first map.
Yes.
That was it seemed to be a real
Phenomenal.
difference maker. Yeah, I mean, just absolutely phenomenal. And being able to get to those transcendents early, but the lethality out of Vince was very impressive.
Yeah, generally you are playing Zenyatta because Transcendence, particularly on the Reinhardt, is so valuable to have to burn down that big rectangle man. But you generally don't see your Zenyatta in that flex support spot, doing a ton of damage, necessarily ending up in the kill feed. You're basically just kind of looking them to stay alive and live for Transcendence. So when your Zen actually puts in work and does that, it is huge. We are going to see one of those subs from the side of Teokola. We will have Michio come in.
Yeah, subbing for Maya, actually in that Zenyatta role, trying to match what Vince was putting up on the other side, making changes in that exact role that you were talking about.
Yeah, and I think that does matter, right? Because you can play goats passively. You can be we want to fight at this particular point, and we're going to wait for you to come to us. We're going to force you to try to burn down all your cooldowns. You can do that, but if the rest of your team is playing aggressively, or if your opponent is playing aggressively, you need to make sure you are, in flow with your team. A lot of this is just simply capitalizing on punishments, and right now Storm have been doing that significantly more efficiently than Teokola have.
Well, and it was goats when we kind of learned that going second can win you fights. Like, this was the meta that taught us that. I mean, diving, it was how aggressive could you be on the back line?
Yes.
And this is where second beat became, the big thing. Like, oh, they beat second. Now they've got the later beat. They survived the first beat. Now they have the advantage, and that was very much born out of the goats meta.
Yeah, it really has kind of shown us where the fundamentals evolved over the hours of time, and you can see it. This is a different look from Teokola. They are trying to withhold, but they just can't. They just can't really push past the Storm here.
Yeah, you had the key to that is surviving the initial onslaught, and that's something that the defense of Teokola was not able to do here. And what an onslaught it was! 2 ticks already picked up. We're only 30 seconds into this map. Now, I mean, we do have actually Michiko came in and pulled out the Zarya. So Mayako went out, Burn coming into that Zenyatta role, putting in a big numbers already in this first fight. What a retake!
Yeah, a great retake. That's great. That's great discipline, right? Just knowing, okay, we're not ready to go in. They know they're going to burn down those abilities just to hold down that point and get the tick. Now with the third left, I mean, Roche has is 75 to a sound barrier. Burn already has Transcendence, so they are winning. They should be able to go. If they push aggressively for Teokola, they could actually win this out.
They only have 33% to give up, so Teosmoke has to just hold the line. With that impressive showing, Bernard has the Transcendence, but it's late. The Transcendence is late. I was seeing it. I mean, you still have a sub area to work with and a grab if you want to try to invest in it. Without your Reinhardt, Teokola have a tough decision to make. Especially Lakua getting that kill on Michiko. It looks like the decision has been made for him here, Soev.
Yeah, they did commit the rally into that from Sub-Zero as well, which might have felt like a last-second, try to overwhelm with the damage, but unfortunately it's not enough. But Avenche showing up again in the kill feed as we were kind of used to seeing now. It's still not expected, but still impressive to see. It's what's really keeping them ahead and keeping their Transcendences coming a lot faster. Storm, again, they just continued to push the tempo. They just decided, look, we're going to go and engage. Teokola tried to take a step forward, and Storm just got right up into their face. Look at all the space they're controlling, Jeff. They are waiting for this engagement. They're trying to set this right on this corner. They know exactly what they want to do.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Lost got found out, though. The counter pin put Lost on his butt more ways than one. Now watching a respawn timer. And then Jackie will see if they can trade out of the back line. But the peel is there. This is the sub off the bench, finds that pick, and the defense will stabilize.
Okay, just because you know what you want to do, though, Jeff, doesn't mean it's going to work, right?
Yeah,
like, you can always try those plays. You can set up and have all the plans in the world. It's something the best laid plans of mice and men. But now Teokola have control of this choke point, which is going to be so important. The defense is going to be able to keep the high ground, but they want to try to keep it as close to... Oh, that's unfortunate.
Grab does come in here from the defense, as well as the Sal barrier. If the Shatter is going to land there on Manjeku on the right-hand side, or it gets the sub-barrier in, though. No Des Luke Chavaz taken out of mag. That is going to hurt, but here comes the fight back the other way. Shatter thrown down. Good block. What a frame block. They're out of Teosmoke. And Teokola might hold. Now the grab thrown in. Is there anything left from Storm to try to follow up on it? Kua seems to think so. Finds Burn out of it. Laws is going to pin Teosmoke out of that grab and pick up the kill. So, yes, Storm absolutely had the teeth to get it done.
think the other thing that I'm slowly seeing as these fights more and more, go on and get a little bit longer, the target selection out of Tia Cola is a little bit, I don't want to say it's bad, but it's a little awkward because you could see that shatter. Yes, the Zarya was the only target there, but it felt like the Rhine was the only one swinging on that target. It feels like we're not necessarily focusing out the vulnerable targets, and Storm is just winning in that regard. They're finding the vulnerable targets and capitalizing on them first.
Tia Cola desperately wants to see if they can control some space. You see how many players are swinging wide out of the point C. Grab thrown in, that's why Machiko immediately takes down 2, takes down 3. Yeah, that's going to do it. What a great grab.
Great read, especially because Laos was not in the grab. You need to run in and make sure everybody's in the grab so that you can cover all of his angles. Laos was too busy holding the front line, and that just allowed Michio to come in and clean that up. So a great team read from Tia Cola to just acknowledge that. That's the focus fire I wanted to see change out of them. Keep that up. You have the ultimates coming on board. You should be able to to stall it here again.
Looks of us headed around on the backside flank. Up on the front line, there's an early bubble used. Sound barrier is one available here for Tia Cola. They have a huge advantage on it. So far, they're kind of waiting for the push in. The shatter in through the back. What a push in through the shield. That sound barrier does eventually land, though. And Rockavaso was able to keep Tia Cola stand in here. Now looking for the counter punch. Yeah, Tia Smoke will find Kua. Lost falls as well. Self-destruct to cover the tracks. The defense will use those ultimates wisely.
It was kind of expected when they had the just leading and support ultimates there. Storm, again, not really getting to decide where these fights happened. We talked about the importance of that just prior to this map, and with Tia Cola now deciding where we're going to set these fights up and where they're going to happen, and Storm, again, seems to be struggling on this. Gibraltar wasn't necessarily, a fluke, but they definitely don't have the control of the map right now that they had on map 1. Tia does have their own trance. It's going to get matched. So the shatter from Tia Smoke is going to be so crucial to deciding the fight here.
Tia Smoke looking for it. Not going to make it through. Tried to kind of thread the needle on that side. And Loss will immediately find a pick on the back of it. Tia Smoke got moved way up in the air. Transcendence fading now from the defense. Sound barrier invested here from Orange as they try to push forward. Only those 4 players are all caught in the grab. The Transcendence keeping them alive through it. The pin in, though, and Orin is the one smashed against the wall. And the defense able to survive another one. 30 seconds to go.
A good just discipline to hold onto Graviton Surge for Mangeku, and they'll have the rally to go into it, so they should just be able to get this and then hopefully, power through with the DPS buff that it will provide. Sub-Zero has their own rally, but it's going to have to get used defensively here. I'm really going to watch because the next defensive ultimate is going to decide the outcome of this fight. What a grab!
What a flank! It's everybody in it. Can they get the kill through it? You betcha. Can't spin around fast enough. Tia Smoke just surrounded, all the damage pouring in from all sides. Mangeku with an absolute VIP play.
Yeah, huge.
Oh my goodness, absolutely gargantuan.
Remember how we talked about where the fights take place? That's exactly it. That was wide open. That grab there's no place. There's no cover you can kind of count to maybe put your back against a wall there. They had to eat every single angle there, and that earned Storm a well-deserved point C here. Last minute means we're going to come down to the last fight. 2 defensive ultimates for Tia Cola, though. They just win the longer fight here, so some magic is really going to happen from Storm if they want to close this out.
Self-destruct back, trying to back away. Both bubbles already used, and none of them on Kua. Or it ended up getting taken down from that as well. No shot.
Wow. A great pin. It didn't get the Reinhardt, but it did juggle enough people to really make a difference, and that was a quick disengage, so there'll be one last shot here. That was a cheap fight for Tio. That was huge. You only sent self-destruct for that. So again, Vensei has the only Transcendence for Storm side. There's 1 defensive ultimate versus the 2 for Tia Cola. A longer fight still favors them here.
Not to mention that huge grab advantage from Machiko, the sub coming in. Laws does have Shatter on the other side. Could just try to end it with that. Electrovos take it down, out. The Shatter is in. That's going to get multiple people, but not the Lucio. The Summer in from the defense of Tia Cola, and it looks like they're holding. The grab comes out. I don't know where that grab went, but Machiko's able to get one with it. Somebody is stuck behind. We're looking at Storm, looking to focus down Machiko out of that back line. Machiko doesn't want to die, and Garcia is able to sandwich in from the other side. Shatter in from Tia Smoke, and the defense is going to hold. Tia Cola absolutely stops Storm in their tracks.
is going to be a heck of a series, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
This is going to be a wild series. I mean, let's be real. Not every team is out here scrimming Watchpoint Gibraltar for goats, but that would just look like Tia Cola really just understood. They finally understood what went wrong in map 1, and they took a minute to really kind of put it all together, but they really did manage to turn it around between just where these fights need to be happening and how these engages happening. They're still playing a very passive game, all things considered. They're still kind of waiting and trying to capitalize on Storm, and particularly Laos, getting too aggressive. But you can win like that. You can do that. You can still make it work, and they are. I do think that also just Tia Cola, just this sub change made the world of a difference here.
Yeah. Machiko coming in that Zarya, one of the most important roles of the 6 players on your team, as it's your highest damage output. I mean, you've got to, it's the key point of that focus fire. You talk about the focus fire coming through, yeah. Machiko's damage output is kind of the center point of that, is the cornerstone of that focus fire.
Yeah, I mean, your 2 DPS in this are going to be the Zarya and the Brigitte, who,
I mean,
in case he maybe didn't know, I'm in the Zen too, but well, when you look at how broken Brig was, how much damage she did, how strong Rally was at that time, you really looked at her to be kind of your secondary DPS spot. It's why we saw so many, it's why we saw so many DPS players have to flex over to it. But no real changes coming through. I think it's going to be a little bit more passive from Storm here this time through. They kind of got burned from playing so aggressively, and I think they're going to have to be a little bit more aware of that now. They're going to set this up. I say that, but Tia Smoke goes in too deep.
Storm immediately capitalizes on that. They say, okay. And that's all it takes. I mean, just that half step. Bubbles used a little bit too early, I think, as well. I think we saw both Machiko's bubbles come out right at the beginning of that and just had nothing sustained through the rest of the fight.
Yeah, it was just kind of the end of it. But now you're going to see that they are a little bit spent on the Storm side. They should be down a few of those abilities, so the micro moments should fall to Tia Cola. But that's so dangerously low.
It's so aggressive out of Storm. Localization is going to follow up on that as Tia Cola just kind of got pushed off balance a little bit. And then here comes the haymaker out of Storm, sitting them on their feet.
And not to mention the team just got split around the statue, right? There was no healing available when several of the members got split aside. This is just, you have to stay as the full death ball. You have to make sure your coordination comes in key here, because if you get separated, you might as well be dead.
Lost coming up on a very quick shatter. I don't know if Tia Cola is going to have this clock and sound barrier used to try to get aggressive. Storm just holding the line here at the start, but Localization has been demaxed. That is a very low Brig. Cole can't quite find it. Spinning in circles. Lawson's brought down before their prime.
And you know what? Kudos to Lost for trying to make those pins work, but that is such a difficult thing. It's such a double-edged sword for the mechanic of Reinhardt. You know, you want to take a pin to really try to control the opposing Reinhardt or try to catch someone out, but you really can't just throw it in. Even when your shield is so low, you might just be like, well, I guess I pinned because I'm going to die, but you really leave yourself so vulnerable when you pin. So Law's trying to find value, and that really is a great moment for Tia Cola to capitalize, and they've done that several times in these fights.
Also, that Samir advantage coming up huge.
That's so huge.
Rope once again, and using it aggressively. What a smart move. What a smart play. Grab now available. Self-destruct. Yeah, just kind of yeeted into the back. Did it separate Machiko, though? Machiko threw in the grab. Did they have enough to follow up? That self-destruct might have just provided enough space. And now Man Jackie's going to follow in one of their own. Ooh. Garcia cover in the back. A defensive self-destruct finds Orin, but the sound barrier did land. Storm's trying to fight this one out. The shatter in for both of our Reinhardts, and it looked like Tia Smokes is the one that found the purchase as Storm are starting to bleed out on all sides.
Again, the other thing that is so important to this GOATS comp is where you send those bombs, making sure the Reinhardt can be distracted. You usually want to set it up with that Brig stun to kind of get past the shield, but man, that was just well-placed bomb from Garcia to set that up. They're going into the next fight with 2 of their support ultimates. They'll have Rally, they'll have Sound Barrier. The longer fight is better. There's literally everything spent out of Storm, so Storm probably not likely to win this. If they continue to play aggressively, though, they might be able to catch a break and catch someone out.
Cycling on the front line thus far. Oh, Sub-Zero was exactly that. Tried to shield bash in, got greedy, got caught out. But can Storm still hold with Lost going down? They're missing a Reinhardt. Now they're missing a Lucio. That is a charged Manjaku, but just backpedaling all the way into the Foundry.
I mean, I love this. I wanted them. Oh, wow. Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, effort attempts were made. Look, I wanted to see more focus fire out of them, Jeff, and they're not disappointing. They really are making sure they call that out, and they are focusing down those targets. And not just that, they're calling out the priority targets and the errors. That's how you beat a team like Storm, who is playing so aggressively. You capitalize on their mistakes, and it was a relatively cheap fight. They still have Rokshavos, Sound Barrier as well going into this next fight. It should be able to protect versus anything that comes up in the mid fight. Oh, wow.
Trash grab down in from the top ropes. Vincent gets the transcend. It's just in the nick of time. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
But they're still not out of hot water just yet. As Teokola are able to back up to the corner. And Burn finds Cool along the way. Dueling self-destruction. That could be huge.
Oh,
Both of them are huge. The sound barrier's on the point. Tia Smoke is left standing. And Teokola tie up the series.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. But these teams are definitely now warmed up for GOATS here. I see why they really why they chose this mode. Both these teams look phenomenal at it overall, and especially Teokola, who have now seemed to have gotten their footing and really are kind of coming together. You can almost see the communication getting better in the coming fight, every match. You kind of see them just figuring out, okay, what do we want to do? Half of GOATS is what do you have, and the other half is the game plan to use it. So Teokola, a well-deserved King's Row for sure.
Oh, man. Setting the pace and setting the stage for a heck of a grand finals here.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing better than just going back and forth.
That's fine.
We're all knotted up. I mean, that's what we want to see. We want to see more fantastic Overwatch. Like, I'm in it. I'm in it for the long haul. I want to see as much. I want to see everything that South America has to offer us. I mean, and what a joy getting to see exactly what they can do. Man. I'm excited to see what more we've got. So, what more do they have to show us?
I was going to say, like, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was so excited to see what South America was bringing us, and they're bringing us, hey, I mean this with all the love to CGL side, they're bringing us better matches than half the time we get on SNO. Like, this is a phenomenal match. This is a phenomenal grand finals for both of these teams. Now, for Storm, though, look, you have 17 people on this roster. Do you need to make a change? Anybody need a break? Are we just gonna run it down again? Because I do wonder, what are the adaptations they're going to make going into the back half of this match.
And do you need to make big adjustments? Like, how big adjustments do they need to be made? You know what? We'll give them a time to figure that out. We're going to the drawing board. Well, okay. Well, I guess we're going to come back to us real quick. I tried to get us off because it is time for us to take a little bit of a break ourselves. We're going to go take 5 and give our teams a minute to see what they want to do headed into map 3. It'll be Leisure Tower when we return. We'll see you there in just a minute. Storm came out of the gates swinging here in your Champions League Grand Finals, the South America show match championship match, Grand Finals match here between Storm and Tia Cola. But man, what a bounce back we saw in map 2 as Tia Cola put the brakes on Kings Row and really stopped the Storm in its tracks.
Yeah, I mean, the Storm was raging over Watchpoint Gibraltar, realistically. They were setting the pace of the game. They were deciding where the fights were going to happen and at what way they were going to happen. But somewhere when we took a trip over London, Tia Cola really just kind of buckled down, started communicating a lot better, and then really just started to focus out a lot of it. I hate to say it's not, because it's not all on the back of their substitutions, but I will say that their subs and the decision-making just improved dramatically going into map 2.
And I mean, we saw a little bit of a swap around too, where Burn goes into the support role, and their Zenyatta player comes out, and we get a sub going into the Zarya role, which is such a crucial part, it's such a crucial role in the GOAT's composition. And man, what a difference it made. And that's, we're all tied up. We're knotted, headed into map 3. It's going to be, we're headed into control here as we get our interesting kind of South America map order that we may not be used to, but you know what? I'm loving it. I'm loving it here so often.
Yeah, look, it's a different change of pace. We're also used to seeing Control in Lijiang Tower as #1, and you know, maybe that kind of takes away the like, oh, you're only a good Control team. Maybe it changes that up a little bit. Down the road is Dorado, and then we get another Control map. You know, no other, no 2CP here. I know they did play earlier in the season on some 2CP when they were getting through the GOAT segments, but Lijiang Tower is another one of those maps similar to Kings Row, though, right? Where when you look at Control, everybody scrimmed this, everybody practiced it.
Of course.
It's still very open in a lot of these sub maps. There's still a lot of places. So once again, setting up these fights and deciding where they're going to go is going to make all of the difference in the outcomes.
It is kind of funny where no matter where you go in the world of Overwatch.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Down in South America, it's Lijiang Tower, Kings Row there too. You know, it doesn't change. Which also means, the fundamentals don't change on that either. We should expect at least to play somewhat similar, although our 3 submaps on Lijiang Tower definitely have a lot of variety to offer to a GOATS comp.
Oh yeah, when you look at the difference, if you're ending up in Control Center, is a lot more closed. There's a lot more pieces you can kind of hide behind, and a lot of different positions you're going to try to want to control. Some teams really want to control, the back outside point. Some people want to control right on the center and kind of defend around the pillar. And then, on the other sub maps, it's just what other 2 or 3, once we get into the place where boops happen, you can expect these Lucios are going to go off for that.
Yep, I expect to see, maybe some whip shots. We found out during the break that pin actually cannot be removed from the code. So, maybe we can even get a cheeky pin off the... I would love to see a good bowling Ryan. I mean, old school, don't cancel your pin. Yeah. Just bowl through and see how many you can take off the side of Night Market. I would love to see a good bowling pin Reinhardt move. I'm just saying. I'm putting it out there.
I have to imagine, I'm with you. I want to see that. But I have to imagine at this point in the game that these teams are pretty much aware. Like, we all know we should not be playing near open ledges for GOAT. So I have to imagine that we've learned that by now. But you never know.
No, as fun as that would be to see, this is going to be a battle of cooldown trades is what this really should be.
Oh, the Winston? Are we actually going to lock it? I don't hate that. I actually don't hate that. The bubble is a little bit rough. I was probably not, but considering Laws is locked on the Reinhardt. But I wouldn't hate that sub. You can still play the Winston here. Sub-Zero likely going to go back to the Brigitte. Yeah, we'll see.
Now, my concern is Storm wouldn't have enough damage. Like, you don't replace the Zarya. That's the trouble with what they were showing there, because you just don't have the damage.
Well, look, if Laws decides that he's going to go to Zarya and just run everybody down, I wouldn't be mad. I mean, he's been playing so aggressively and literally headlong into that corner, into this choke. No fear on that man's soul.
Look, Shavaz is going to get D-backed as Storm tries to emerge. Lost goes down as well. Ends up being a trade, though. Vince showing some of that Zenyatta prowess we saw back on map 1. I think that's going to be the tilt and scale here.
For now, it's still a 3v4, and I have to imagine the rest of Tia Cola is going to just continue to poke. Like, they know they have the sooner reinforcements, and they're just going to play for whatever cooldowns they can get. Keeping this to the point, though, and it's closer to their side only benefits them, in my opinion.
Kua had a huge advantage on the rally, completely negated as Michiko, the super sub. There, map 2 continues to reign here in map 3. Vince once again finds the better end of that trade with Burn, but Stormer just running out of reinforcements as Michiko comes up with their third in this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Vence has really been kind of the difference maker. Burn has, you know, even with the swap, has been quiet. We've not seen really Zenyatta's go off like that, and that's been a key for their success. Vence, you know, with the damage and with the kill potential coming in, they get their trance a little bit faster, which sets off those fights a little bit differently. As in, they have 3 defensive ultimates up for Storm now.
Early grab coming in, able to avoid Lux defense matrix. Kura already down. Transcendence used late into the fight, and that's after a DMEC and a Breaker already did. Lost can't even get the pin out before falling back into spawn. And it's going to be a good win on the back of that grab out of Michiko.
Again, just a little bit slow. Maybe the Zenyatta was a little bit out. I will say for Storm, Vence does tend to position way back when they're playing, so I mean, there's a good and bad about that. You want to keep your Zenyatta safe, but you can't be too far away when you need to press trance. Tiakola has the overwhelming ult advantage, and that's a Zarya down.
The self-destruct is going to pick up. Yeah, it just like stopped on a dime, too. Did you see that? Like on the perfect spot. Ridiculous placement.
Wow, just fantastic. Just great setup. That's the teamwork that we've been seeing out of Tiakola, though, and that was only 2. There was no defensive ultimates there, so they have Trance and Soundbarrier going into this next fight. And Storm has nothing. They will not win in a longer fight, so they have to win by the aggression here of Laws.
Oh, the shadow. I mean, lucky to even hit the ground with that, honestly. Still didn't find anything. Now it's up to this Graviton Surge to make it work. The Transcendence has already been used, as has the Sound Barrier. Or it is down, and it's now or never here from Mangekyo, and it's not going to be enough. Oh, they're not even able to whittle through the Lucio, as Michiko's there to bail him out.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the benefit of having the support ultimates, right? Last fight territory here, and it's going to be a grab and rally coming in for Tiakola. They're just going to hold them off the point.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like there's going to be a touch. Oh, the Transcendence does make it in time. Here comes all 6 players from Tiakola in tow.
Yeah, when you hold them back that far, you force out so many things that it makes the fight win impossible anyways. Like, that was doomed the second Michiko really just grabbed that door. It was done. Yeah, that was it. So, like, that was just over. It doesn't matter. Like, you get the chance to touch, but it's at that point you would have needed that in the fight. Again, Tiakola just coming out and just showing just incredible teamwork out of that. That pin is going to live rent-free in my head for the next week. Just that pin into the self-destruct was just perfectly timed and just so set up. That is some incredible GOATS teamwork of what you need to see in a grand finals like this.
That's how you win a championship. Is that kind of teamwork. And remember, I mean, Storm is kind of the team to beat here, friends. If you're just joining us, Storm was, you know, the one coming through upper bracket, one that sent Tiakola down to the lower bracket, considering they had to be undefeated and they lost one. I'm guessing that would be the case.
Yes,
that is actually a guess, but yes.
I think that looks right. I think if I looked at the thing,
logistically, it sounds right. It's not necessarily correct.
We'll check it. We'll check it.
I mean, either way, Tiakola were the underdogs on paper walking into this, and they have completely turned the tides of this entire series.
I like this approach from Storm, just trying to use White Room here, just knowing let's just take the cover we have. We don't need first point. Let's burn out that and let our flex support just come in and lead the way like that.
You give Vence too much time, they will find the angle. Yeah. Loss is down on this, but yeah, there's so many health bars too low, Tiakola can't recover.
Yeah. Again, it was just a great positioning. They just decided, look, we're going to play from White Room. We have cover. We can poke out all of your abilities. You're going to expend them all. And then meanwhile, Vence is just going to go ahead and just find a pick in the back because you're not expecting the Zen to just get any real value. The charged orbs is enough for a pick through many of those abilities, but you still have to land them. So looks like Tiakola is going to try the same thing. They're going to try to run it through White Room. They just need to make sure they don't get too aggressive on that.
Was already used up front. Try to push on that left-hand side. Watch the Discord over. Right now, sitting on Kua is going to go ahead and pop the rally, and that forces Tiakola right back out of the fight. Stormer giving chase. Ooh, almost got the DMEC onto Garcia. It looks like Tiakola are able to kind of hold for a moment as they look to build up towards Machiko's grab. Could be the difference maker here if it comes out. Definitely two supports on the other side. The grab is in. The Transcendence is in. Not able to find the kills through it just yet. No, Stormer staying tall. Kua is able to find Teal Smoke there through the end. Sound Barrier is late to try to save the Reinhardt. Now Mangekyou coming up on their own, but no, will not get the grab into this fight. The Sound Barrier in, and Storm still has an advantage in this just mosh pit of a fight, but it's Garcia coming up with a kill after the self-destruct lands and picking up one on that as well.
Wow.
Tiakola with the retake. Wow, indeed.
I was very concerned. Michiko threw that in that Graviton Surge, and there was nothing else for it. One of the, like, minimum things you have to have going into a fight is something to pair with Graviton Surge, and to throw that in dry and still come out a win on the fight is impressive, honestly. Teal Smoke does have a Shatter, has matched by Laws. I mean, Storm is just kind of leading. They have 4 ults in the bank. They should just be able to overwhelm. You only have to get past Trance, but they have to approach first, and that has been so difficult for them.
Self-destruct thrown into the left, the pit into the right, and then that's 2 of your supports already down just on that one ultimate.
Yeah, huge. Pinning, and this is where the Reinhardt is, such a key pin. If the Reinhardt goes down first, that's why most fights tend to fall apart. That was a pretty cheap fight, like you said. Still fairly, even though Storm, is behind in all those support ultimates, so they should be able to win if they play aggressively here. I don't see Burns' Transcendence really making too much of a difference versus Graviton Surge, but it's going to come down to the timing. Storm loves to play aggressively. If they do that again, they should be able to continue this win streak.
Machiko pulls the trigger on the Graviton Surge first. Mangekyou responds in kind. The Transcendence is in, but the pin from Laws right on point. The Shatter finds 4 on the back of it. Trying to swing through the Lucio. Oh, Laws is going to respond with their own. That one's gargantuan, and the pin will take Teal Smoke down. Or is able to find a kill on the back of that as well. And Storm bring this one back from a deficit to claim yeah, this is Gardens. Claim the sub.
Yeah, this is Gardens. Yeah. Wow. Great idea. Yeah. I mean, and Laos, considering, again, this is where they work the best. When they play aggressive and Laos is enabled to swing, that's the other part of where you get a lot of your damage from, is your Reinhardt going in and getting aggressive and putting that in. And that's the one thing they've had throughout this whole matchup, is they are consistently more aggressive than Tiakola has been. So being able to just know that, look, we might not have a support ultimate, we need to win by just swinging and putting out damage, that's a great read. Again, just another incredible set play, too, as well from them. So when the gears start working for Storm, you can see it's there, and it looks great. They play as a unit most of the time, and they really do tend to benefit and succeed when they play as a unit and separate Tiakola so that their aggression can be rewarded.
God, I thought Storm had Tiakola had that one in the bag. Unreal turnaround.
Huge.
Immediately wasted no time. I mean, this point hasn't been unlocked yet, and our team's just getting in the thick of it. A little bit of a battle for a corner. Kurama having to stick their nose out to try to bail Mangekyou out, and just barely succeeds. So, but yeah, it ended up so low. One fire strike puts him down, and here it comes. Tiakola surging out to clean up what's left.
Yeah, with these poke phases for the Goats comps are, they exist. They're typically pretty short, but they do exist. And right there, Storm just kind of got poked out. Again, when they aren't aggressive, they do tend to lose these fights because Tiakola will outpoke them, will get a little more damage in, and will save their cooldowns longer. So Storm, again, they need to keep being aggressive if they want to do this. They're going to set the fight coming from this wide angle, and I do like this. They need to catch out somebody from Tiakola if they're going to find success to take the point here.
And trying to force fight on their terms. We saw back on map 1. Sound Barrier very close. Could be the hole up here. They are going to get that first D-Mech. They find Luck low. Teal Smoke throws the Shatter in, though. Boy, not able to survive. Burn with that important pick, and the hammer just smashes through Loss. Now it's going to batter Kua down as well.
Yeah, again, just a little bit more poking. It feels like Storm didn't, they got to the front doors and didn't really have the key. They were struggling to find the key, and Tiakola just took advantage of that, poked him down, and just found the opening pick on the Diva. Tiakola now has, it's going to be a full rack of support ultimates from both sides. Teal Smoke did give up Shatter, so that's probably the difference maker.
There's the Transcendence against the Graviton Surge. Clever move to get that one in at all. Now the response to Teal Smoke going to pin into it. Machiko cleaned it up, combined with the self-destruct. That is the wombo combo needed. pin out the shield, drop the bomb right in the grav.
Worth noting that it was Laos who was the first death there. And that's exactly what you need if you're going to win these fights quick and efficiently, is you need to get either the Reinhardt or the Brigitte out. Those are your two ideal targets. So Tiakola, again, just winning off of those great target selections. And again, they're going to try to hold the front gate here.
Storm are going to have to spin just to get out the door. Whoa, the self-destruct in over the top. And gets the D-Mech on the Garcia as well. And this is just going to be a free fight win on the back of it. That thing was sent from downtown, and Luck came up with gold.
The sound barrier was committed. It was unfortunately a little bit too late. I think they just didn't know where it was coming from. I feel like it was just way too in the sky. But Storm's pretty much, like, Tiakola was happy with that. You know, it was a relatively cheap fight, like, all things considered. You didn't spend a lot. Storm has only this shatter, and there's a sound barrier for it. I mean, Tia Smoke has their own shatter as well, and that's blocked, so that means we are playing from a deficit for Storm.
And this, the sound barrier is good. Lost is absolutely overwhelmed, forced into a mismatch on that side. But Chico finds himself in a similar mismatch on this point. That's a two-player shatter. The pin will be the end of Auron. And this could just be the end of the map. Discord down means that break's not going to last long. The flip here on the back of the point. We do have Electrovasp and try to stall as long as possible, but they're in a 1v3, and it seems inevitable that we will head into map 4 with Tiakola up 2-1 in this grand finals.
I don't know if anybody would have predicted it, but I will say there's a couple things that seem to be ringing through, and in the particular that cost them that last fight is Laos get it isolated. Again, Laos, again, tends to play aggressively, and you want that out of your Reinhardt. You want to make sure they're swinging and building up charge from that. But when those pins go wrong and you end up on the other side of a fence and isolated, that means there's nothing for your team to succeed. If you are the first death, like in that bomb, in that play of the game, your team has nothing. The defense matrix only lasts so long, and bubbles are very easily broken. So Laos has been very boomer bust for this team, and when it's just one of those things you have to keep an eye on if you are Storm.
And Michio's done such a good job of taking advantage of it every single time.
Oh yeah.
And we got to get a nice, good. I was hoping we'd get a nice big bang here, Soav. Like that's it felt like a real crying shame if we got through an entire GOATS Grand Finals and didn't see one just good classic big bang. We got it on that one.
We got it. Yeah. We got a couple of good ult combos out of that. We saw it, and I think that's the thing that we're seeing from GOATS. Like you talked about a little bit earlier, like how does GOATS look when you're playing in South America? In NA and EU, you see a lot of dependence on the combos, on support ultimates, and then pairing up these tank combos. But here, we're seeing it really just into just good old traditional mechanics and target focus, which is really different.
Yeah.
I don't think we're really used to seeing that.
It's true, because then it's kind of getting out of what we would call flowchart Overwatch, where you expect to see the same exact ults come out in the same exact order each time, and it became just a tier list of if you got this and they have that, that's what's going to throw, and it comes down to that last final moment of one good boop or a good sound barrier or a good pin or something like that to kind of tilt the balance. But yeah, I'd have to agree. This does seem a lot more mechanics and kind of quick positioning based. The quick move, quick pathing, try to catch somebody off guard, crazy bombs, crazy grabs. We saw two over the top, but one a grab, one a bomb coming in from strange angles. It's been a lot of fun, I gotta say.
I think if you're a South American console player, like you're happy with this. I mean, I could watch if this is what the tournament, the League of Champions looks like. I could watch this all day with Michigo. Just it feels like very Defran, like in the way they're setting up a lot of these like gravitons. They're just popping out of a corner, catching one or two out when you're not looking for it. Like that's enjoyable to Overwatch to watch. Like we're here for enjoyable GOATs, but that's just like a fun joy to. That's a nice bonus. That's a cherry on top.
Oh, that's a couple cherries, some whipped cream, maybe some sprinkles. Like I'm enjoying it. It's tasty. It's quite tasty, friends. We're all feasting. Oh, let's take a look at map number 4 here. We're gonna head into Escort as this grand finals continues on. We'll see if Storm can force this map 5 here on Dorado.
This is interesting, Jeff, because remember, Dorado got changed recently. I don't know what GOATS looks like in New Dorado. I haven't really considered this. I've never had to consider this because now with elevators up, I don't think that changes too much. But realistically, when you looked at Streets phase and the point B, you kind of ignored the high ground with GOATS simply because you didn't really it was so you kind of had to go all the way around, slog it up, and that was you wanted to control it. Now it's significantly easier to take the fight on high ground, so avoiding it and just choosing not to and trying to play under isn't really, I don't want to say it's not doable, but like, I don't know if it's optimal. Like, I think you have to defend this high ground now, and we're going to see more fights end up there.
It'll be interesting. I'm right there with you in that I hadn't even considered that fact that we've made Dorado a lot more, ground and pound friendly. Yeah. Since we've seen goats in recent time. Looks like we are getting a sub here headed into map 4.
Yeah. No, we're not. No, we're just
looking at the roster. All right, cool.
No, we're just
no,
nice look at the
no changes. No changes.
No changes.
Cool.
No changes.
Yeah. I mean, Machiko on that Zarya has been a real highlight. As has, Vince on the other side. Have been two of the standout players for me thus far here looking at these rosters.
Yeah, I mean, there is, and we're looking at players, usually we're so busy looking at like the Reinhardts, the Brigittas for this stuff. It's wild to be talking about a Zen as a high-performing member of this GOAT squad. That rarely happens. But we talked about the depths of the roster of these two players, and to see a player like Michiko come in and make a difference like that, that's what you want out of your team. I don't think there's going to be any changes across the board. If we were going to run the Winston, I think this might have been the best case for it, but now that we've made those changes to the map, I think that's just like, we're never going to see it. I think Winston
if we didn't get Winston on WPG, if we didn't see Winston
that's true
on
too.
GB,
That's true.
I don't think we're going to see Winston.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think this would have been the last case we could make for it.
100%. No, point is very valid. 100%.
Yeah. But I do think that it makes more sense because, like we said, like, where are you going? You're still going to take these fights. You're still, if you are Tiakola, you're still looking to set up these fights on as much cover as you can get, and you're still trying to punish Laus here, who is going to try to go a little bit deeper. I really want to see if Storm rein him in or not.
Looks like Laus is trying to disengage on that wrong side. Yeah, the pin got interrupted. Laus is still kind of caught out. I think they're able to get back. No, it's Teosmoke who falls. Laus's aggression is rewarded this time around.
Hey, and the proper disengage from Tiakola. That's the one thing I will say is they have been very good about recognizing it's a fight loss. Let's get out and reset. Let's not feed more charge. Orin is a little bit leading in the sound barrier though, in the 80%. So a sub-0 is the one I'm watching for Tiakola to really open this up. That rally is going to be the first thing in, and it has to be impactful.
Sub-0 got stunned. Woo! Big push back. Sub-0 comes up with that pick. Yeah, massive pick. Still a little bit away somehow, but the attacking team have managed to crack this open. Oh, what are you doing out there? Garcia, no, you're just setting him up for Sub-0. Of course you are. Sub-0 is just going to mow through everybody.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that rally came online, and Sub-0 just decided, no, I am going to win this here. It was a relatively cheap win for them. Storm did come into a rally of their own, plus Grav and Trance, so they have a mixed bag of ultimates. They should be able to ride this out. Tiakola has 2 of their own on the support side. So, I mean, it's going to come down to if these supports die first here for the side of Tiakola.
Self-destructing in the corner, the Grav trying to defend against.
Oh, excuse me?
Oh, what? That was Mangeku's Grav, by the way, y'all. Like, that was not Machiko's Grav.
Yeah, that was... I really wish I could see another angle on that, because what happened, I think that what it did is it just punished Storm for not playing together realistically. That's what happens when those Diva Bombs come out. If you aren't playing as a unit, if your rectangle man is not there to shove up the rectangle, you will get punished, and Garcia has been just feasting with his Diva all evening long.
I mean, it looked like Storm just tried to kind of fan out to get the kills in the Grav. Got too greedy.
Yeah.
Now it's just a Transcendence for Storm to work with. We are seeing this battle over the stairwell, as we kind of anticipated. You can't neglect this high ground, especially with such easy access. Loss has the shatter.
Oh, the Diva? No, the Diva. I say the Diva fell and got picked out there.
Yep. The immediate drop down. Good recognition out of Tiakola.
Yeah. I mean, a great read from that, and now Storm can't do it. They have to back out, and it's just even more pressure and free cart push for them. That was the cheapest fight that Tiakola could have ever asked for.
Now a full drop down from Storm. They're immediately grabbed here by Machiko. Transcendence is in, but that is just too much swing and throw. The shatter just decimates right through these ranks. Pin in is just trying to hold. There's the flip, the block on the shatter. Nice little move. Canceling the pin, the 180 block. Gotta love it.
Yeah, hey, good. Hey, if we could have done that back in the day of original GOATs, we all would have loved to have been able to do that. So just the evolution of the format, as it will. A cart never stopped there. There was never a fight win. And now that I'm looking at this, I don't believe Storm has won even. They won the first fight, and they've lost 4 in a row since then. So just kind of behind, unfortunately. The catch-up mechanic from these ultimates not really coming together. Where are we going? Excuse me?
Yeah, that was a gross overextension. I don't know what the call was, but that something broke down there, be it communication or a read. I'm not sure which.
I kind of mentioned that it feels like Storm is not playing as a unit, playing as a ball, and that's. Thank you for providing my exact highlight of what I mean. Like, I'm not sure what happened there, but you have to play as a unit. This is GOATS. You play as one hive mind, and now you're behind in ultimates to add to the punishment.
Self-destruct in the back. There's the backup for Loss. Ooh, everybody able to get inside and not fall to another double kill out of Garcia. Now looking to strike back as it seems to be Teosmoke who's the one out of position. Sound barrier invested. Focus fire is good as they turn their attention onto Sub-Zero, and Teosmoke will get burned down in this back line as well. So Storm finally able to find some room to breathe. Might stabilize here for the first time in a while.
Yeah, the late stagger onto the Zarya is just going to be... Well, at least to get yourself a little charge, I guess, on the way out. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, is they just, after one misplace out of position, Teocola just ended up doing it too, and Storm recognized that and capitalized on it. So positioning really has been the defining factor for both of these teams. Recognizing when someone is out and punishing that is really setting the pace here. Teocola only having Graviton Surge and Burns Transcendence is a little concerning going into Storm, who just have the ult advantage here.
Athletes, which is going to be the Shatter trying to push out. Either that or the Grab's
Oh my gosh,
first.
no.
Yeah, that is a lot of free progress booked up. They do eventually prevent the cap. Shatter comes through, and that is a gargantuan one. That's just going to shake the rafters here in Dorado. My goodness.
There is a textbook example of why we do not take that pathing. You called it earlier, as the pathing makes so much of a difference here. And the map did change to try to make this, a little bit easier and a little bit different ways to get in and out, a little more cover. But I think that door is officially closed, Jeff. I don't think we can take that anymore. I think you're going to have to try to push up mid and just kind of poke it. Teocola does technically do a little better when they poke. So if they take main a little more, they should be able to get a lot of those valuable cooldowns and win the micro battle.
They're gonna try to take the high ground again. They're hoping they can find the same effect with the Shatter. Do have a grab to work with it as well. Slowly, they're starting to push forward. Bit of a split there from Storm. And the grab is put on the left side where they had to there. Sound barrier does land. Oh, but the Shatter looks good. What protection? The peel out of Kua is so good. Now a Sound barrier invested. From Roke to try to close out this fight. Perhaps even survive through the grab of Mangekyou was a final wish before Mangekyou is put back into spawn. Garcia plowing through the mix. Almost got the kill on the Lucio. Oh, it's the self-destruct from the defense. My goodness, that was insane. And I mean, still with a kill onto Teosmoke. Teocola don't look done with this. Machiko is still here melting through. Has the Zenyatta isolated. Actually, gonna end up turning all their attention onto the Lucio. They'll find that pick on the Warden as well. Now it's the Zenyatta next on the chopping block as Lost comes out, finds themselves the sole defender here on the back of Dorado. And this is going to be a $105 left in the time bank.
That was a wild series of events, Jeff.
Wasn't it?
That was wild. I heard the Graviton Surge go off there. Didn't really make sense of where it went to. But again, these kinds of set plays, like this is what happens when your team plays as a family, is you set each other up for these wild set plays like this Graviton Surge into the pins like that just lead to insane situations. I think the other thing to note off of that, though, was, like you said, not just the peel that came with it, but the attempt to focus down on Lauz's pin. It shows me that Teocola really understand that they can capitalize on Lauz's decision-making, and that has, again, just continues to be one of their paths to success. So Storm, wow, look at where the fight just shifted from that singular pin. That still just blows my mind. I wanted to finish that thought, but Lauz just deciding I'm fighting here now is literally game-changing.
What a read from Machiko to get the grab in the first place. I will say it was a bit of a Storm kind of separated into two separate packs off of that disengage. And Machiko makes the read on that left-hand side, finds both Mengeku and Luke Travas in that grab.
Yes.
And then, yeah, what a big brain decision. Tiakola. I mean, and again, they have been taking the fights where they want. They took that fight from the high ground, and based off of that fantastic decision out of Tia Smoke and Machiko, they moved the fight all the way to the back of the objective.
Okay, someone is going to use the initial elevator. I stand corrected.
Yay!
But again, so now Storm on the attack here. Loss has been an aggressive piece of this puzzle right now. And I think that as long as they tighten up their line and play a little bit more as a unit, they can benefit from Laos's aggression. They're going to get most of this push to the choke for free, so the fight will take place on the other side of this choke. It's going to be difficult to find real purchase, though, as the cart is going to get stalled out.
Battle for the high ground could become a premium, and Garcia gets it. So they were positioned off of that window, able to fly in, find that Discord orb. Machiko is going to double down, and this defense comes up with a good fight win here in this archway.
You know, and that's just recognition of where do we need to set the fight from Tiakola. Let's just make sure we fight where and when we want to, and that's been their key to success this whole way through from point one. Relatively, quick and short though too. Michiko is, leading in the Graviton Surge. Not that that's necessarily been an indicator of winning fights, but I mean, like that's the real standout difference is that it seems like Michiko has just been putting out more damage overall in most of these fights.
I'm sure the stats would reflect that 100%. It certainly feels that way from the eye test. Okay, rotation here as we talk about that, and it's a long one from Storm trying to get some high ground, kind of shift the battleground. Oh, but they might find themselves at a disadvantage. And suddenly, Tiakola is standing above them, and they're struggling to get up these stairs. Tia Smoke close to a shatter. Oh, and is just hungry for it. Look, everybody's all bunched up. There's the push in. Self-destruct to try to protect the retreater. Even just hold the line as it looks like Machiko and Tia Smoke are hanging out in here. The Shadow is going to find 2. Actually 3 fall into that, and the Transcendence not enough to keep Luke Travak in mech. Orange stunned. Grab fades. Sub-Zero. And, ooh, it's a 2v2 down on the stairwell. I can't believe Storm are still even, or Tiakola are even in this at all. This is unreal. Tiakola hold.
Wow. I mean, a lot of it came to Storm just not necessarily capitalizing, unfortunately. And Tiakola recognizing, look, we can, they're not engaging on us. We can be the aggressive. They're not committing. And just burning down all of those micro abilities first. They're just getting rid of all of that utility much faster and winning those fights out. It's still a minute 30, so this could, if this goes long, they could close it out here, but Storm have the ultimates in their bag. They should just be able to overwhelm with strength. They just have to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Self-destruct thrown out early. Oh, I don't know if these pieces are going to fit. Sound barrier now thrown in. The second sound barrier for Tiakola. Try to protect against this grab. Excuse me. It was combined with a grab. Then successful in finding Machiko. Very low Tia Smoke. Yeah, no way you survive that one. Not with Discord on your head. And Storm putting together an important fight win here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a team effort there, and it was very costly, though, Jeff, when you look at it, though. It's, 3-4 people that had to commit ultimates into that, and most of those really didn't find a lot of value. The self-destruct found nothing. The shatter got blocked. Sound barrier, of course, is going to get value, but it just felt like, again, the one time we needed to layer those together, it just never happened for Storm, so maybe just a little bit of loose, but there's always Venche to open us up and keep us going.
Oh, important timing on that one to keep that momentum rolling. Vinche, I mean, exactly what Storm needs it. Self-destruct does buy a little bit of space here for this defense to try to stabilize. That's a bubble trying to follow Tia Smoke into the other one getting super aggressive, and the grab in on the back of it. Vince does have that Transcendence, once again saving the team, but the Shatter is in, and it will outlast that Transcendence. And Tiakola have wrestle control of point B.
Just a hair behind on the Transcendence, unfortunately, is going to cost them that. Again, a bit of an investment for Storm, though. That was pretty much everything they had saved up. Luke Travas is going to have their self-destruct. And there is the potential to actually put it with Mengeku's Graviton Surge. So there are the pieces there to put an ult combo together. We know these teams don't necessarily win like that, but that is an option. And all you have to do is survive Burns' Transcendence. So even layering them out looks good for Storm here. They just need to have the discipline to make sure they get at least the value from one of these ults.
Transcendence has to be used just to save Machiko through that fight, but they get aggressive on the back of that and find Kua and the D-Mech as well on the Luke boss. So it's another fallback.
Okay.
Just about 2 minutes left here on the clock.
I don't hate this decision. You got Trance out, and if you're tracking well enough, like that's even if you're not really tracking, that's one of 3 support ultimates out. You can definitely win through it, and I don't hate that decision from Storm. I think it probably your best shot going into this. You just again, you need to make something happen with these ultimates. You just need to put them together to find some sort of win. This isn't the aggressive Storm team we're used to seeing.
And Chico's got 4 in the graph down low. There's all 3 tanks. Self-destruct into the back. The shield is good. Oh, that self-destruct looks nasty.
What?
Both actually end up coming up with picks. I didn't expect Storms to find anything, and now the grab is in. This is look like it's going back and forth, but Chico finding Lost. That's going to do it. That's going to do it for this one. Buckle 4 left for Teocola, to close this out.
Yeah, it'll be last fight here. They have Teocola has Sound Barrier, Shatter, and Rally. I mean, the positive for Storm here, they have 4 ultimates in, including all of their support ultimates. The longer fight will favor them. They just need to make sure, again, they just need to play as the full unit. They constantly get punished when they do not move as a full squad. They fell off the stairs. We lost half the team there. And look at this split again. If Teocola is paying attention, they can capitalize on this 6v5 moment.
Chico drops down and just immediately gets the DMAC.
Yeah.
Now it is truly a 6v5. Storm tries to push through. Lost needs a big shatter. Needs it now, but Chico has too much time. It's not going to be found. It's a fast fight, and it goes completely in Teocola's favor.
Wow. Yeah, I was kind of expecting that Storm would have had the advantage, but again, I'm not sure why Luke Travas decided to play down there. I'm not sure if we were pressuring Cart. We didn't really need to. There has to be a touch here, and it's going to force Storm to be immediately behind. It's probably going to be, I say the D.Va will be there to touch. They need to get value out of these support ultimates right now.
Well, Shatter finds one, but the sound barrier's there to keep Burn up. Looks like the response Shatter was good.
No.
Aura goes down. No, Aura, we needed that sound barrier. Storm needed your sounds of healing. Now there is no hope, no war drums. It has been muted. Storm, your team to the winner's bracket, now silenced here by Teocola, who will take away Dorado and win the championship.
What a roller coaster of GOATs overall. Down to that last wire, and I think it kind of puts the period on the kind of issues that Storm had been fighting through. They're such an aggressive team. They were so used to just running down Teocola and really kind of finding their success through that. But in that final moment, they were punished. They were out-aggressed. Everything they had tried to do was just outdone by Teocola, who, maybe they just needed a game to wake up, but they were on point with their shot calling, with their decision-making, with their team play. Everything just looked so crisp and earned them a well-deserved grand finals.
Huge congratulations, Teocola, fighting their way back through the loser's bracket, taking the hard road here to the grand finals. And wow. And had to kind of fight back possession. I mean, really wrestle control back in this match. It didn't start off that way. It didn't start off super clean for him. It was Storm who came out originally on Watchpoint Gibraltar to take the lead early on in this series, to take that first map, and really, seemed to be in vast control of each engagement. Like, it didn't feel... it felt like Teocola were on the back foot and having to find an answer every step of the way there through that map 1. But man, as the series went on, boy, did they find an answer.
Oh, they found the answer. The answer came in off the bench, Jeff. It was Michiko.
Yeah.
Michiko. Like, just came in off the bench, changed the entire mentality of the team right there, and just kind of made Storm question a lot of the decisions they were making between those cheeky Graviton surges and just being in positions where you might not have expected them to be. It felt like once Teocola just made that swap, everything kind of came together. And you'll see it constantly within the kill feed. It's hard to deny that Michiko was not a huge factor in that. But I do got to say, it was the team. It was the full squad, because Garcia's bombs were also just phenomenal. Usually we were used to seeing those paired into the Graviton surges or something with that. But Garcia just found so much value from raw self-destructs.
Time and time again.
Yeah, frequently.
It was unreal. And with 2 shields on the other side.
Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, there were so many times I went, where is this self-destruct going? That shouldn't get anybody. It found 2. Oh, well, this entirely changes the fight. And I think that's kind of a lot of this story, is there's these smaller decisions, where we're placing those D.Va bombs, or where we're gravitoning, and how we're separating Storm, the team of Storm, into the smaller pods. really did them so much work in this map.
I mean, Tiakola showing us expertise and timing and planning and execution, and showing us that South America Overwatch has all the chops that you're looking for. What an incredibly entertaining series. Big shout out to Senju and CGL on this collab for having us on to bring you the spectacular introduction into South America Overwatch, and a look into what we might see in the future. Is South America will be integrated into CGL into 2025. That will be an active region. We will be seeing more of these fantastic players as we move forward, but not anymore tonight, as we're going to go ahead and close this out. Once again, a huge congratulations for Tiakola for winning the championship here in the Champions League for South America Overwatch. But thank you so much for joining us. Big shout out to all of our people behind the scene. We had Headraver and Hippie back there behind the scene tonight. But most of all, thank you all out there for hanging out with us and enjoying this fantastic South American Overwatch and everything they have to offer. It's been a real treat. It's been an absolute blast. But this is going to do it for us. So, Ev, thank you for joining me. And, well, that's going to do it. Be kind to each other. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good one,
Take
friends.
care.
You say you wanna try, but you